Hello Cancer, great to have you here. My name is Shauna. Today's reading is a general love forecast for November 2025. As always, take the messages that resonate and release anything that doesn't. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay connected with upcoming readings. Let's see what's headed your way, Cancer. Energy for this month is, figuring out things that have happened from the past, whatever we have done in the past, whether or not it has been working, and figuring out, what we can take away in terms of best practices, in terms of lessons learned, so that we can move on ahead. So I feel like many of you are coming into this month. The energy overwhelmingly is you're not starting things just yet, but you're kind of like on the end of stages. Okay, so it's like wrapping up existing projects, doing things over, waiting on things to finalize before you can have a decision, before you can have insights as to which direction to move on ahead with. I'm sensing that some of you have, I feel like have, left an old phase of life behind. And for some of you, it could be, you were married, you were dealing with separation or a divorce, and you're trying to leave that behind. And now you're emerging in a new phase of your life where you might be single. So I do feel some transformative things happening within the past 3 months where you are starting over. You're having like the epiphany moment to allow you to see what you've been doing so far, whether or not it's working for you, whether or not it's in your greater good or for your greater good. And moving forward, you want to know what, the best option is for you, what's the best sense of direction, and what's going to allow you to get where you need to be. So I feel there's a lot of, waiting for things, wrapping things up, and be finalizing everything else so then you can begin the actual new phase in your life. Temperance card. And the Temperance card is basically patience, moderation. It's sort of like moderating your emotions, moderating your thoughts, and don't spend too much time ruminating over things. I'm seeing that, that message, and it's usually associated with the Five of Cups, but I do see it in this card. It's sort of like, don't cry over spilled milk. Whatever has not been working for you, write it off as a lost cause. Write it off as, just they're saying, pick your battles, and whatever that cannot be salvaged, whatever that cannot be won. I feel that you are coming into that whole acceptance stage, and I feel that you're ready to move ahead. Okay, so this is a card about, taking stock and figuring out what we have currently so that we can decide how to best utilize the resources at our disposal, and how to, stringently monitor what we have, as well as how we can bring what we have into the future with us. I'm feeling that many of you right now have recently apply for a new job or have started a new job. So in your work sector, we do have the Sun here. This is success, achievements, and public recognition. This is a very good card that basically indicates a win. And I feel like you might have applied for several jobs that you felt, oh, all of these were a good fit for me. And 2 of them might have come into the picture and you're trying to decide between the 2. So I'm sensing here that, you were waiting on decisions for the best job offer. Unfortunately, 2 of them have come through, and the other 3, you're not really hearing from them. So I'm sensing that's what's happening, or the other 2, the other 3 jobs, you haven't heard from them. But I do feel you have 2 under your belt for this month. Okay, 2 projects, 2 new jobs, 2 new contacts, 2 new endeavors that you can undertake for this month. So I feel like you're trying to decide, and you're trying to wrap up things, and you're trying to, figure out which one do I want, what's the best, which job will utilize my skills the best. But I do see, for those of you who are not looking for work, there's a lot of recognition, there's a lot of focus on you, which indicates to me, gaining something, like gaining an achievement, gaining, gaining strides in your career, and also making a great like public impact on other people in your work environment. There's a lot of support coming through from managers, from supervisors, as well as authority figure. So I feel like whatever you've been doing, you might notice that you've been doing the right thing. You stuck to your guns, and I feel that you're coming into like a very buoyant state of being, as it pertains to like, people trusting you with additional projects, getting the recognition that you deserve. So this looks very good, and it also indicates a lot of warmth and harmony coming into the work environment as well. I feel that many of you are thinking about, possibly taking on two jobs because the responsibilities within the household environment is calling for more. So there might be new additional people in your family, or there might be some type of a shift or a movement, people coming in, people leaving. If you've been subleasing, for example, subletting an apartment or even a room, I feel that there might be, additional costs because people might be leaving. So I feel that some of you are even flirting with the idea of, taking on additional responsibilities, taking on new jobs. And the additional responsibilities will give you a lot of recognition in the career front, but it might not allow you the leisure free time in order to, relax at home and to take care of responsibilities in your home environment. So there's an element of a shortage of time, and not enough time for all the things that you want to do when it comes to, your public image, and as well as accumulating money. All right. What I'm sensing as well in your finance sector, we have here the Four of Swords in the reverse. The Four of Swords in the reverse, especially for those who are working on a client basis, this is kind of like looking through your contacts, looking through, the traditional Rolodex. Whatever offers that have not come through from the past, you want to call up your old contacts, call up clients from the past, and see if they need, if they need to, if you have services that you can offer them, find out what they're lacking right now, what they need help with. And I do feel some revisiting old contacts will be really beneficial for you to allow you to move on and to allow you to, get the portfolio, get those contracts ready. Okay. So if you're in sales, if you're in commission, if you're working on a client or a project basis, I do feel that they're going to be coming back to you. All right. So it's indicative of a very busy time that is coming. So there's no time for rest and restoration. You are going to have to hit the ground running for this month, and I feel that the energy is really going to pick up the later part of the month, and I'm inclined to say like the second or the third week, where this energy is going to be quite momentous. Like, it feels to me like there's a lot of energies associated with it, and there's also a lot of movement happening for you, where you might have a lot of contacts. You need to be present, to pick up the phone, to answer those calls, to follow back, even play phone tag with people. Okay, so the first 2 weeks seems to me to be a little bit slow, and you're kind of like, oh, I'm not really sure about this, and I feel that things are going to pick up from there, so not to worry. Okay. What I'm also seeing as well is I'm not seeing a lot of travel happening for you overall for this month that is of the leisure kind. I do feel a lot of work that you need to, wrap up on, and a lot of things that you need to take care of in the home environment as well. So I feel like, reorganizing your home, taking things out of storage, clearing up clutter, for example, keeping an orderly home. So dishes might be piling up, and it's really important for you to set aside time in order to take care of these things. And I just feel like a lot of you want quiet time. A lot of you want alone time. And you might be in high demand as well in your social circle. So it's really important that you make time to, keep your environment very orderly, because you are innately a homebody, and if your environment is in disarray, it's really hard for you to focus, and it's really hard for you to have that peace of mind when you are, in your sanctuary, in your haven. Okay, so just something to be mindful about. In terms of the communication, let me just talk about this, because the cards associated with it, we have here the Ten of Swords. And the Ten of Swords is a situation where we might not have acted at our best. Okay, there might have been some type of conflict. I was pushed into a corner and I couldn't, there was only one way that it could have transpired. So you felt like something was outside of your control. You felt almost as if you were put in a position where you had to say what you had to say, even though it might have been like a harsh truth. It was like something they're saying, like a bitter pill to swallow. So I feel like something needed to be said, and it didn't make you popular, but you felt that it needed to be said. You felt it was the right thing. And in that environment, you felt like you couldn't affect the outcome. There was only one outcome that could have resulted from it. And I'm sensing for some of you, it might have been with work colleagues. They were doing things where you felt that it wasn't for the interest of the whole group. It wasn't for the greater good. And I do sense that, you stepped up and you said your piece. And I feel that that propelled you into, the public limelight. And I do feel that you felt that that was the best possible outcome. And so you're dealing with, having to heal the communication with whoever it was, the group or the person that this happened to. So you're doing some damage control, and you're also trying to still convince them of the merits of your actions. Okay, so I do feel that was something in the past that you're still dealing with right now, and you're still going to have to see them on a regular basis because, if it's a work colleague. Okay, and then for others of you, it results here in a financial, like a joint custody issue that you have with another person. I honestly see an energy of, especially for those of you who are married or who have like children with another person. I do feel problems coming through on the with in-laws. Okay, so it's like child rearing practices, like differences in child rearing methods, differences in how my family is run versus how your family's run. So I feel like ideological differences where you can't see eye to eye with another person, and rather than compromising, because I feel like they were trying to push you to do something that they wanted and to alleviate the responsibilities from their end, and you felt that was not fair. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to allow the other person, the other side, to step all over me. I'm seeing issues with like custody issues as well with which school to send the child to. And I feel like you felt the responsibilities were dumped on you, and you felt like the way that they approached that was not considerate and was not fair. So there's some unfairness that came out or will be coming out for this month, and you are just going to need to stick to your guns. And so I feel like this might have been something that happened since this month. And you're going to need to state your case, and you're going to need to stand by your truth, okay? Because I feel like somebody is trying to remove themselves and alleviate their own responsibilities at the expense of your own emotional health. So that's not a fair situation. You really need to speak up for yourself here. I'm seeing that some of you are also very frustrated not being able to affect the types of change that you want. So you might be in a work environment where you just feel like you just feel like, okay, this project is really great. We should get funding for it. But for whatever reason, there could be, from the higher chain of command, they're saying that there isn't enough funding for that. So you're going to need to solicit private financiers, or there isn't enough funding for that. So we're going to have to, scrap this project. And so I feel that, before they're scrapping the projects, I feel that you're fixing up all the details and you're trying to push it along with a different company or with a different financier with the different financial backing. So you're trying to fluff it up the best that you can because you believe in it. Unfortunately, there just isn't enough funding in order to push something through, okay? Just going back to, for those of you who are looking for work overall, it is going to be coming. So they're really telling you to be patient. And I feel like, you might be saying, I've been patient for months and I'm getting very worried. And I do feel that, hang on to this hope, because there is going to be something coming through here in your work sector that will alleviate the worries and the anxieties, okay? So keep at it. And I do feel it's gonna be in the picture for you, okay, you guys? Let's talk about relationships. We have here the moon, and the moon basically indicates a situation coming to light, okay? News being revealed, information coming to the fore, as well as things that you might have an inkling about or things that you might have had suspicions about. I do feel all of these things are being brought to light, okay? They're being revealed. And whatever has been troublesome or whatever you couldn't really wrap your head around or you couldn't really pin your fingers on, I feel that you're going to get a lot of clarity. Okay, so I see the fog lifting for many of you. And I also feel as well, because your creative house is highly lit up, just be very, very careful about pregnancy. So if you're in a relationship, for example, and if you're expecting, there's high energy here for, conception. If you're also in a relationship where you're not expecting, be careful to protect yourself accordingly. I also feel there might be, romantic gestures as well coming through from people who might have, romantic feelings for you. So I do feel there's going to be some news revelation coming through on the romantic front as it relates to, your the people that you hang out with on a regular basis, as well as attraction, flirtation, attraction coming through on the work front. So if you're getting like very, very positive reception, I do feel a few people are going to be stepping up, telling you how they feel about you. And then likewise, even if you're in a relationship, I feel like there's still a lot of flirtation and great energy bubbling up from with coworkers, supervisors, and people that you're collaborating with in the work environment. Just be careful about communication. Be very, very clear that if you are in a relationship, be very clear that, I'm flattered, but no thanks, or not right now. Okay, so just make it very clear. This is a card about, there's only one way that this can go. So if you're in a relationship, don't entertain that flirtation, okay? And then likewise, if you're single and you're not interested, don't entertain the flirtation, okay? So this is kind of like, you need to decide like yes or no. There isn't a way to backtrack, and there isn't a middle ground here, okay? So Cancers, the energy is very, very decisive for this month, so make the most of it, okay? I feel that it's going to be a little bit it might be a little bit challenging because I feel like you want to take your time, you want to fully assess, but I feel that you might have been on the fence for a little bit too long about some really major decisions. And so you might need to make, decisions when they are halted on or when they're procrastinated on, I feel that they're going to be made for you by the universe. So it's really important for you to be in alignment and, be ahead of the game, be ahead of the times, and try to make these decisions on your own. Otherwise, they will be made for you, okay? I'm seeing a lot of you deciding on a relationship to see whether or not it is worth continuing, okay? So to see whether or not it is feasible, it's practical, and it's viable for the long-term prospects of a relationship. And I feel like there is a very strong emotional connection, almost like a psychic link between you and a partner. And because of that, it's really hard to break, even though the relationship itself might have been quite tumultuous or even difficult. There's still this great sense of love, harmony, this psychic link between you and another person. And because of that, you see the best in them. And if the truths are coming through, being revealed by in-laws or being revealed by your partner, I still feel that, you still want to take the time to let it sink in, okay? So don't make any rash decisions. So your emotional state, I feel that it's going to be heavily affecting the choices that you make, so get yourself grounded, okay? Do deep breathing exercises to get yourself a little bit more centered, because I feel like you're a little bit frazzled coming through for this month. Moving forward, we're looking at your career sector right now. I'm sensing a lot of you, you have a, when you were younger, let's just say a few years ago, I feel like you might have been trying to head out on a specific path. And I feel that a lot of you might have done a lot of different odd jobs. So you have a lot of skills. And these skills are all separate. So you don't know how they all can, add to your resume, add to your job performance in the current situation, because, they're all very, very different skill sets. And so whatever it is, we learn different skills from different jobs. So don't downplay your accomplishments, okay? So I feel like, you might be applying for an accounting job, for example, and you used to be, I don't know, and you used to be a waitress. So all of these skills are always transferable. It's just knowing the right way to market yourself, okay? Knowing the right way to talk about the skills that you have accumulated as a waitress and how that is also transferable into the accounting realm. So I do feel like a little bit of thinking outside the box, creative thinking, rather than, just straightforward thinking. Creative thinking is going to be necessary so that you can market yourself. And I do sense that a lot of you are in a position where you are downplaying your skills. You don't feel like you have all the skills necessary. You don't think that you're a great orator. You don't think you have the charisma or even, the technological know-how in order to do a job well. So you have your eyes on some very distant, plans for a specific career. And you feel like you have taken many, many detours in order to get where you need to be. And you're kind of berating yourself, kind of like, I'm wasting time. When am I going to get there? When am I going to be able to get that dream job? What do I need to do? So you might be at a loss as to, how do I achieve that career? How do I get myself there? And I feel like, you know A to B, but you don't know the logical steps as to how to get there just yet. And you feel like time is ticking. And so I place, okay, just don't worry. Currently, in your present work situation, there's a lot of success to be had. And so I feel like, just allow it to naturally unfold so that sooner or later you will get to where you need to be. But right now, just maybe there are skills that need to be cultivated in this present environment. And once you have cultivated it, once you have learned these lessons here, there will be kind of like a bridge to allow you to get ahead, okay? So don't get ahead of yourself. Wrap things up right now. Deal with whatever is coming through in the present moment. Don't take this work situation for granted. There's still a lot of skills building to be learned and to move on ahead. I'm seeing a lot of you are in a situation where you feel like you're doubting your capabilities, but you feel like you don't have the technical skills in order to get that dream job. So this is traditionally somebody that, needs to upgrade their skills. When it shows up as a magician in the reverse, it's sort of like you have all the pieces of the puzzle right there, but you don't really know how to assemble. And so that means, getting a skills upgrade, enrolling yourself in a technical institution like vocational school, or even going to get, higher education like a college degree, a bachelor's degree, associate's degree. And, I say that like it's very easy. There are a lot of constraints in your environment, but I feel like this is the month in which you're doing a lot of long-term planning. So I feel that a lot of you are focused on this arena, okay? And I'm sensing as well there might be some workplace, vouchers like school vouchers or even tuition assistance. So look into those, okay? If you're with a bigger company, usually they would offer, skills upgrade, additional training for their employees. They might even pay for you to go to school, like financial assistance or even tuition assistance in order for you to upgrade your skills. And I do sense that you want to do a little bit of digging to see if that's available in the corporation that you're working for. If not, if there's another corporation along your same industry that you're interested in. So look around and do a little bit more digging. And I feel that you're kind of frustrated because you don't know where to look. So do a little bit of digging into those, tuition assistance programs and see if your company or another company sponsors it, and see if you can get your foot in the door with that company, because I feel like that's going to be like, killing two birds with one stone here. For those in school as well, I do feel there's a lot of waiting here, waiting on decisions from an institution, waiting to see if you're going to get in. So I do sing in there. And so I'm seeing a lot of, wrapping up things and tying up loose ends, waiting. So I don't feel things starting just yet, but I do feel, April, especially May as well. You have high potent energies for new beginnings, okay? First of all, for those of you who have walked away from a relationship, you're doing the right thing. You're on the right track. You're going to move to a safer environment where your emotions will start to subside, okay? And especially for those of you who have, recently gotten into an argument with somebody, I do feel that the tension is going to start to de-escalate towards the end of this month, so not to worry either, okay? So I feel like this is the month in which is more inwardly focused on your emotional state, as well as what you can do in order to get yourself right back on track, okay? So it's a beautiful energy. We have a lot of dating, a lot of attraction happening for you, but I feel that it's an inwardly focused type of a month for you to, wrap up loose ends in your life rather than branching out with new people, all right? Also, I'm going to leave out the moon in the reverse and use that as we transition into the next part of your reading. So we're going to go into your love, romance, and relationship reading here. I've got a lot of singles coming through right now. So I have a lot of energies of singles coming in, or at least people who are, dating, but not in a serious committed relationship just yet. What I do feel is, I feel like a lot of you too are re-examining the options that you have around you, as well as re-examining the person that you are, the person that's kind of like highest on your radar, romantic radar right now, and to see what options you want to move ahead with. So I'm feeling, taking stock. I'm feeling a lot of you are also getting cold feet. And you might just want to play the field. You might not have, a specific person that you're interested in. You might just want to play the field. So I feel like, finance and money and career are the things that you really want to focus on right now. So you might not have the time for love relationships. Okay. So you're getting an extra card because they all fell out. So let me talk about you singles. So let me talk about this first. The crowning energy for those of you who are single here, we have the Six of Cups, and the Six of Cups is kind of like the idealism card, looking at things and seeing only the good and not the bad. So I feel like for those of you who are single right now, or who are at least dating but not in a serious relationship, so that's considered single. I feel like you have somebody that is on the forefront of your mind. This is somebody from the past you've been dealing with for possibly the past 6 months. And the Six of Cups deals with a situation where, there might have been a very strong soul connection. There might have been like a very strong, emotional connection with another person. However, I do feel that many of you, the other person has moved on, or you are deciding to move on from that person, okay? So they've been occupying your thoughts for quite some time, but this is the month in which the reality starts to hit. And I feel that you're realizing this is a great relationship, but it has, been past its expiration date. And so we're going to need to move on and figure out, how we can date other people and so on and so forth. So I feel like a lot of you are coming into this month single. Some of you could be linked up with another person that has a child, and you can also be linked up with somebody that you have a child with. Okay, so the other person could be male or female, but I feel like there's a sharing of children, and I feel that it was a relationship that could have had that could have led to marriage. So it might have been like an engagement, a broken marriage, a broken engagement, a separation, or even a relationship that started off too fast but there's a child involved in the picture somehow, from their end or from your end, or you both share a child, but that relationship didn't work out. Okay, so you might be thinking about this person right here. They seem to me to be very extremely attractive, very, very beautiful, like beautifully dressed and very fertile. So, men can be fertile too. So this is not just a female energy, but they're saying like for some reason it was hard either religiously or just philosophically. It was hard to have a relationship with this person because the things that they want and the things that you want were very different. And I'm also seeing individual families interfering in the relationship. So going back to that message that I mentioned about in-laws, I feel like there was a lot of meddling, a lot of interference from people outside of the relationship. And so even though you hold that person in high esteem, I feel that it was irreconcilable and you had to move on from it. Which brings us to the present situation. We have here the 9 of coins, which is a lot of you are just very focused on your financial situation. You might have, a child with another person and you're trying to build up your wealth, your resources, so that you can be a good mother or a good father to your child. And I feel like many of you are just, newly single, putting yourself out there, having fun. And I feel as well your financial resources are stable right now. And you are in the process of looking to, fill in the void, like you want a relationship. And we have as well the Emperor showing up in the reverse position. And the Emperor showing up in the reverse position. And this card, for some of you, there might be some holdups. So we have the Empress and the Emperor. There might be like relationship patterns from the past that you're trying to break. Either like dealing with control issues, dealing with power struggles, or dealing with, somebody that you might have really cared about, and there were always family interfering in the relationship. And I'm also seeing existing patterns in your own relationships that you're trying to break. So for example, and this is just an example, I'm seeing that if your mother and your father treated each other a specific way, that might have been unhealthy. If the relationship was, the father was the breadwinner and the mother was the one in the kitchen all the time. I feel like you want to break these relationship norms. And like vice versa, we do have, a few stay-at-home fathers as well. If the relationship dynamics was like that, where one partner wielded a lot of power in the relationship and the other person felt powerless, I feel that you want to break these relationship cycles. And you have been cognizant that these things have affected your relationship in the past, have allowed a lot of meddlesome people into the relationship. I feel that you're moving ahead and you're becoming a lot more aware, so that when it creeps up again in your next relationship, you're going to know how to handle it. Okay. So I feel like a lot of overcoming karma, overcoming like patterns, overcoming unhealthy things to allow you to move on. And you have full knowledge of this happening right now. We have here the world, and the world basically indicates opportunities that might have dwindled in the love department. Okay, so for whatever reason, you might have put yourself out there, but the options that were coming through, they didn't really meet your expectations. The people might have been emotionally unready, or they might have had their own emotional baggage to deal with. They might have also been like, they were, I feel like people were a little bit more wishy-washy. They didn't really fight hard for you, or they didn't really seem interested. So I do feel like, there might have not been a lot of options available, and as a result, lack of success in the dating environment. So I feel like some of you might have been dating for the past 2 months, for example, and you met people that might have been great, but I feel like that spark, that attraction, whatever you felt for the previous person here, it didn't come in with the options that were available for you to date. And so you might decide, the options are not available. Maybe